The extraordinarily fateful decision on the part of the Senate Leadership Fund and Mitch McConnell to take the money that should have been spent in Arizona to get Blake up on TV early on and instead give it to Lisa Murkowski for a Republican battle against the Republican-backed nominee in Alaska. And if you want to find one state where that extra $6 to $9 million would have been the difference maker, that's it, Arizona. The disparity at the top of the ticket was crushing for our candidates. You're going to lose these close races because the Republican brand set by Mitch McConnell on down is not exciting, is not persuasive, is not convincing to voters.
That egg-headed supervillain, Stephen Miller, is going on television. He's trying to shift some more blame for his buddy Donald Trump, because many Republicans are discovering, I think they already knew, but they're now openly saying the problem with their electoral politics is Donald Trump. Little do they know it's also their policies, but still, let's let them get at least a start with that. So he wants to shift that blame. Remember those two things. Where'd all that money get spent? And also Mitch McConnell, where'd all that money get spent? Keep those two factors in mind, because Donald Trump also got the email from Stephen Miller who was saying, hey, this is the route that we're gonna have to go. Put your own flair on it. Donald Trump put his own racist flair on it. He took to Truth Social and he said this: it's Mitch McConnell's fault. Straightforward, pretty good. Spending money to defeat great Republican candidates instead of backing Blake Masters and others was a big mistake. It's almost like Stephen Miller told him to say this. More, giving $4 trillion to the radical left for the Green New Deal, not infrastructure, was an even bigger mistake. He blew the midterms and everyone despises him and his otherwise lovely wife. And there's the racism, Coco Chow, which he's used for the second time. Not only that, he also apparently thought that last week when he went with a bit of a racist approach to his Truth Social, he thought that would work too, except this is with Glenn Youngkin for some reason. I'm just gonna read the beginning of this because we did go over this last week. This was just before. Youngkin, in two different words for some reason. Now that's an interesting take. Signs Chinese, doesn't it? In Virginia could not have won without me. And he went on to talk about how he's the best thing ever and whatever, F you. So he goes through these moments of trying to push this blame, but he can't let up off of the racism because that's who he is. It was the first thing he said when he went down the escalator. I've said it a million times. His whole brand in politics is the racism. He said, it worked for me before, why would I stop now? Either way it goes, let's continue on, because Miller and Trump, they're all going for this whole thing about the spending and the spending and the spending. What was the spending going on with Donald Trump and all that money he raised from his minions? Even Jesse Waters on Fox News wondered the same thing. And I was like, Jesse, watch.
McConnell spent close to $400 million on these Senate candidates. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but that is a lot of money. And we didn't pick up a single seat. So either some of these candidates are garbage or the money's not being well spent. But Trump's sitting on a massive war chest in Mar-a-Lago. Where'd that money go? We don't know.
I'm glad you asked, Jesse. Here's some answers. Since losing the 2020 election, the former president has turned more than $1.4 million of donor money into business revenue by charging his political entities for lodging, food, rent, and travel expenses. There's more. One of the largest payments occurred about a month ago when a group named Save America handed Trump's hotel empire $82,000. That's according to FEC filings. Save America is classified as a leadership PAC, the type of entity that politicians often use to spread money around to their allies. The type of entity that politicians use to spread money to their allies. This is Donald Trump. Trump, who has collected $139 million via Save America, seems to be hoarding the bulk of that cash. Save America has spent $69 million, but records show only $25 million of that has gone to other committees, with the majority covering operating expenses, including payments to Trump's properties. So while we're blaming, I'm totally open to blaming Mitch McConnell because he was a part of even getting Herschel Walker involved with this and endorsing all these horrible candidates. And also, I guess the money just got spent in the wrong places. Or the biggest name in your entire party was hoarding it and using it for himself while saying, I'm here to fight for you. What are your thoughts here, Jess?
Yeah, when I hear people like Jesse Waters talk about who wins elections and what wins elections, really anybody from mainstream media, DC consultants, party line politicians, it feels like I'm listening to someone describe like Game of Thrones, like they live in fantasy land. They treat this like it's some kind of competition about who strategically can get the best messaging, who can make their candidate look the best on media. It's all a game to them. Really, what wins elections is having someone who is honest, who can connect with working class people, who has the kind of personality that people like, and also getting something done for people. It's very simple. If you call out to people exactly what you know is the problem in our country, which is corporations buying up public goods that should be provided by the government doing next to nothing to regulate them, to protect working people, to ensure wages continue going up, to protect unions from union busting, all of the things that matter to most everyday Americans. And if you don't deliver on those things or send a message that you understand there is a problem economically in our country and you understand how to fix it and you have some solutions for it, you're not gonna win unless you have those things, unless you run on economic populism and you have a good candidate and you come from a party that when it's in power, it's actually getting things done. Like, it's very simple. And all of this other stuff about we could have more strategically spent this money, I think it's ridiculous.
But you know what? That tells what their thought process is. And the way things always used to be, the electorate is changing. The amount of things the types of things people pay attention to is changing. Hey, there's a new voting block coming up. I believe someone was telling me before that, there's this new wave of which we would call kids now, becoming adults, and they have to start dealing with them. I saw one tweet where someone tweeted out, they said these pre-polling services, whoever, are gonna have to find new ways to get to more voters because there's no 22-year-old that's answering some cold call on their cell phone, be like, who are you gonna vote for? Like, I'm not answering this call. You're not getting those people. So when they go vote, you have not tallied them. You have not recorded where they might be voting. And then you come and go, oh my God, Kari Lake's in trouble. Oh my God, Lauren Boebert might not win, all that stuff. He's just so close to call because you're not paying attention to the people who are voting in policy and apparently in polling too.